Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Horror Master YouTube channel, and welcome back to day 17. My God, I can't believe we've been doing this for 17 episodes, and I'm surprised that my sanity hasn't gone completely out of the rail, or maybe my sanity has gone out of the rail all these years. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching all the videos so far, and it means a lot to me that you guys been watching all these videos because we have no idea how much I have worked to make these videos the best possible that I can to entertain you guys, especially for me because watching all these films has been a lot of fun. Kind of revisiting some franchises I haven't seen in a while, watching some franchises I have never seen, which we'll talk about in some later videos. But like I said, hope you guys are enjoying all these episodes. If you have not seen any of my episodes, I'm gonna put a playlist probably up here that we can watch all the episodes. But regardless, today we're on day 17 and this is gonna be another franchise. A lot of people are kind of like, "What the fuck? Why are you gonna talk about this franchise?" Of course, I'm talking about the Omen franchise, a franchise that has been kind of forgotten over the years, only by some certain fans, of horror. Really like the Omen franchise. Personally, before making this ranking, I think I only seen probably the first three Almond films, and then the rest were kind of like, I don't want to watch them, but I have to because in order to make this video, I have to watch every single film to kind of give my best thoughts about this. So that's how my process works, and sometimes. So regardless of that, let's get into the ranking of the Almond franchise. So we got five films to talk about, and a number five at the bottom of the barrel, and I mean at the very bottom of the barrel, we have The Omen for The Awakening. This is the last film in the actual, I guess, quadrilogy of the Omen franchise before they make the remake, which we'll talk about in a bit. It is the only film to be go to direct to videos. In other words, it was a made for TV film, kind of like I talked about with the Carrie, the 1999 kind of version. I went from straight to video. With this film, it kind of did the same thing, and there's a fucking reason why they make this go straight to direct video because they kind of retcon everything that the Almond 3 kind of did at the very ending, which we'll talk about that in a bit. But they kind of retcon the ending about it, and also the fact that this time, Damien has had a daughter before the events of part three, so she's kind of not the one, the antichrist. She's kind of the one carrying this curse, and she's full aware that she is, the embodiment of evil and all that. But this film has some not the greatest kills. Has maybe one memorable kill, but I just can't remember the fucking kill of it because this movie was kind of daunting to see because, like I said, this film I knew it was gonna be bad when sometimes when films are direct to video. That's not always the case, but the majority of the time that is the case. But then again, you can kind of say that with now going straight to streaming films, but that's a different story. But the Almond Four for what it is, it's not the greatest. It's probably the worst film of this franchise, but not by a long shot. They kind of retcon a lot of from the Almond Three, which, like I said, we'll talk about that in a bit. And to the point that now that no longer Damien's the main central of the story, they have his daughter, who we're like, how the fuck did he have a daughter in the events of part three? But it's a whole complicated thing that I'm just like, oh, I just only had to see this once just to get over with. So, at number five, the Omen 4, The Awakening. And speaking of retcons, that brings us to my number four spot. We have The Omen 3, The Final Conflict. Now, The Omen 3, the thing about the Omen franchise that made it so unique was that Damien was this sweet yet creepy boy. You know, there's not that many franchises where the central main character or antagonist is this little boy. Maybe some other franchise I'm not even thinking about, but when you have this little kid grown up, it kind of loses that creepiness yet cuteness of the kid. Not to take everything away, but this film, how it's kind of goes against all odds, and not to mention that this film they tried their best. I mean, to the point that even not even the great Sam Neill, who portrayed Damien in this film, who of course has done many other films, like of course the Jurassic Park franchise and all that. he tried his best to salvage this film, and it didn't end that way because this film was really, really critically shit on. I mean, there's some moments in this film that I'm like, is this really an Omen film? Because I don't feel the vibe of the Omen, you know. But again, to have you know Damien grown up into an adult kind of loses that kind of luster of innocence, yet creepiness and cuteness of this fucking the antichrist, the son of the devil, into this political congressman in a way which, let's be honest, the majority of congressmen in that we have right now. But that's a different story. But it's kind of weird to think that this sweet little boy grew up, became sort of a politician for evil, and it just goes downhill from there. But it's kind of baffling that this film was even made, because I think personally they should have kept Damien as a kid, kind of like I said, kind of brings that the Almond franchise to what it is. At number three, we have the Omen, the 2006 remake, or the Omen 666. Now, there's one thing I do want to give credit to the film. To release the film on June 6, 2006, on 666, was a brilliant marketing. I don't think there's any other films that out there that have had that kind of marketing. Of course, there may be some other films that I'm not even thinking about that were released around that same day. But I remember briefly, like I said, this was briefly years ago. I was still in elementary school, and this trailer came out. I want to say somewhere. I don't know where I saw it. I don't think it was on YouTube or somewhere, about the Omen. Of course, they having the number 666 being the film released, or a lot of people thought this was going to be the end of the world. Then again, we're 2022, so we're still here. But the Omen remake, for what it is, it's not the greatest remake you're gonna ever see, but it's not the worst remake you're gonna see, because this film at least tried its best to kind of keep the same spirit, the same kind of vibe of the original films, or original if you're thinking in a chance. But it almost, um what's the best way I can say this? It almost mirrors the entire first film, like almost to the T. Which I'm not against remakes. When it comes to a remake, I want them to kind of move away from the original, create their own vision, but kind of keeping that same spirit of the film. But this film kind of made it close to, close to the mirror to the original, which it kind of lost its luster. But overall, great film. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad film. I'm not saying it's an amazing film. It's a good film that if you ever had the chance to watch it, go watch it, because it has some great moments and all that. I think the kid who portrayed Damien in this film was not the most perfect candidate that I think could have done it, but he tried his best for what he was given. But regardless, at number three, we have the Alma 2006 remake. Now to the top two. In my opinion, the only two Almond films that in my opinion, are worth watching. So at number two, we have Damien Almond 2. Of course, this is where Damien's a bit older. He's not the he's still kind of a kid, but not really a kid. He's still in his kind of teenage years, but he's more aware of what he is, because throughout the film it became more of a slasher film, because if Damien didn't like you, he will fucking kill you and make it an accident, because that's the main purpose of the Omen, to actually kill people by accident, even though it was purposely made. But this film, it still kind of kept that same vibe of the original film, that gave me that creepiness, the cuteness, and creepiness. I guess I mentioned creepiness a lot, of Damien, who he knows he is the fucking antichrist, the son of the fucking devil. So by this point, you're like, okay, we know he's the fucking devil. We know he's the antichrist. Let's see what he can fucking do. And he, like I said, I mentioned, became more of a slasher film, trying to kill people left and right, different ways through the factory and all that. But in terms of Almond's films, like I said, that's why I have it as on my number two, because it is a worthy film of the Almond franchise, in my personal opinion. And of course, at number one, that leaves the Almond, the original 70s film. I mean, when you start off the film, the concept of the Almond by itself, let me just put it in a way that a lot of people might understand. If you're a parent and you find out that your son or daughter is the antichrist, it's the son, it's Satan's spawn, and you have this dilemma of killing the spawn of Satan to end the end of the world, and of course everything that happens, the apocalypse, the four horsemen, whatever, and all that. You have this dilemma as a parent to, you know, it's your son, it's your kid, but you know that it's the antichrist. If you don't get rid of the antichrist, it will be the end of the world. But as a parent who raised him from since birth, carried him, you know, put him in your arms, it's a dilemma because you don't want to kill your flesh and blood, even though, like I said, he is still the antichrist. So I like the dilemma that they kind of have with this film, even though in this film we know that Damien is adopted. So again, even you're a step parent, it's still like kind of like you raise him from since you're a baby. He's technically yours, and the fact that the accidents and the kills, all that, happen by coincidence, even though I think at this time Damien didn't know more or less that he was the Antichrist until we later found out down the film, but he kind of had this presence of creepiness, the cuteness, and sometimes even weirdness. Because, like I said, Damien is one of those horror icons that he is not really the most scary. He's the most innocent, but that innocence has that darkness within you. So it's kind of weird to think that a kid has so much evilness in him that could cause all these accidents and kills and all that. And it's just crazy to think that a child has that capacity and power to manipulate people in killing themselves, like he did with the nanny when she hung herself, which that's one of the most iconic scenes in horror in my opinion, or especially in the 70s kind of horror, which a lot of people really don't like 70s horror because it's still not superior to like 80s and still kind of underneath the 60s. But you know, when it comes to 70s horror films, the Omen is one of the best, and in terms of horror, it's one of the most iconic films of all time. I'm not saying it might be top 10, maybe top 25 or even top 30. So for those reasons, the Almond, the original, has my number one spot. And that does it for this video, guys. Hope you guys really enjoyed this rank. Come on, again, kind of a weird franchise. A lot of people don't really talked about, or not people really don't want to give it a shot. And like I said, just watch the first two films, and the other three are kind of your, you know, at your own risk. But you know, regardless, you know, stay tuned for tomorrow's video for day number 18. We're gonna be tackling a franchise that, quite honestly, to right now, I have not seen any other films until making this series. So we're gonna be tackling the Phantasm franchise. Like I said, a franchise that I briefly don't know that much. I mean, I know the lore, I know what happens, but I've never sat down and seen all of their films. This is gonna be kind of like a first watch for me. So that's gonna be very, very, very interesting. Like I said, we still have a lot of videos that we're gonna do over the next couple of days. Like I said, we're already on episode 17. Tomorrow, episode 18. And of course, we're gonna go all the way to Halloween, which is gonna be a fucking blast. Which, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching all these videos. Thank you so much for the people who subscribe to my channel, which surprisingly has been gone up in numbers. Not by a lot, but it's still something that I'm pretty proud of because I worked my ass up to make these videos and all that. And hope you guys are enjoying this ranking most. Let me know down in the comments your opinion over the Almond franchise. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do your shebang. Follow me on my Instagram. Follow me on my Twitter, and ring the notification bell so every time you get the latest video on my 31 Days of Horror series, plus other videos I'm thinking of doing past Halloween. Maybe kind of bring back my CD collection updates, which I haven't done in that a while. Like I said, it's a bright future for the channel. But thank you guys for watching. Stay safe, everyone. And until next time, stay metal.